Hey all, good to see you today. I wanted to follow up from last week's video. If you haven't seen it, it was about the idea of viewing each day as a we get to instead of we have to. And so today's kind of a follow-up on that video. If you haven't watched it, I would encourage you to do so. And I want to tell you a story that should help us fully frame this out. It was something that happened about 10 years ago in Washington, D.C. It was a cold January morning in the subway, and as commuters came into the subway to work, to head to work, a man sat down and began to play his violin. He opened his case, pulled out the violin, and began to play. He played for 45 minutes, played about 6 different pieces by Bach during that time. Now, during the 45 minutes, they estimate thousands of people probably walked past him on their way to work. Most didn't even give him a second glance. Occasionally, about 5-10 minutes in, the first person threw in $1 into the case. Most of the attention was actually paid to him by children who wanted to stop and listen, but their parents would force them on and kind of drag them out and keep them moving. At the end of 45 minutes, the man took his guitar, he put it in the case, closed everything up, and silence descended back again on the subway, and nobody even noticed him go. Now, in that 45 minutes, he made $32 in tips, and only about 6 people actually stopped for any length of time to listen to what he was playing. Now, that's not all that unremarkable until you realize who this gentleman was. This gentleman's name was Joshua Bell, world-renowned musician, famous violinist, a man who has recorded over 40 albums. He's won Grammys. He's played for presidents, for Supreme Court justices. He's been on The Late Show multiple times. He's been the part of scores of movies. The night before this happened, he played in Boston to a sold-out crowd, paying over $100 a ticket to listen to him play. And he was playing on a $3.5 million Stradivarius. And yet most people walked right by without a second thought. Now, this was actually an experiment put on by the Washington Post because they wanted to see if people would notice something of beauty when it was in an unexpected place. And it got me thinking, I wonder how often we do that in our daily lives. I wonder how often we are so focused on what we have to do, so consumed with our own problems, so preoccupied with all that's in front of us that we actually miss the beauty that God has put in our lives, either in nature, in people, in circumstances, and we miss Him altogether. God has told us repeatedly to slow down, to be still, to quiet ourselves, to taste and see that He's good. And I wonder what might change if we did that, if we slowed down, if we changed the filter through which we saw the world, if the prejudices that are in front of our eyes, we would just see past them. If we would actually pay attention to what God might be doing and where He is. Would we become more thankful, more excited, more celebratory? My challenge to you and to me, because this is difficult, is as you go through the remainder of this week and the next, is to stop occasionally and listen to the music. Because when you do, you might actually encounter something amazing, and you might see God where you least expected Him to be. Until next time, have a great week.